like today's topic. So today's topic name as a queue, right? Queue. We have seen assets, right? So why assets is used? Assets is used to hold some value, and I'll just mention in brackets variable where we created the assets. So we create assets on the orchestrator. What is this orchestrator? Orchestrator is nothing but a centralized platform, right? Platform where we deploy the bots, right? So assets, we created assets on the orchestrator. Now the similar way, like assets, we have queues, right? Queues also we can create on the orchestrator, and similar like assets we can use queue for similar purpose like holding some values like a variable. But queue has a different, you can say, structure, and queue has a different syntax, right? So if we go with the this simple word queue is nothing but if I'm standing in, you can say, single row, so in that row also, that row is also be called as the queue, right? Queue is nothing but the queue concepts is carried by first in first out, right? First in first out, right? First in first out, right? If I'll go in that queue at very first, then I can go first only, right? After my chance, after my turn, if anybody else is come, so he will go away after me, like that. First in first out, right? So queue, right? So I'll just show you how this queue look likes. Okay, so in my cloud.uipath.com, if I'll open this, okay, so like assets, we have just similar concept called as the queue. So I'll just open it. Okay, now if you see here, we have assets, right? And we have queues, right? So assets we have seen. Now if I want to create any queue, why queue is used? To holding some values. As a high level, we'll consider queue as a queue is used to hold some values, like a variable, right? So if I'll click on this queue, you will see we have one button called as the add queue. I'm adding queue, that means I'm creating some queue as a variable, right? So simple, if I'll click on this add queue, you will have like create a new queue, you can say link. Simply I click on that new link, and here we need to provide some basic information, right? So name of the queue, description of the you can say queue. So here if you see, we don't have the you can say data type of the queue, similar like as a asset. In asset we have some data type or asset type like integer, like text, right? Like boolean and credential. But in queue we don't have anything like that, right? So simply what we need to do, we need to simply create the queue like this queue ue underscore, I'll put demo, and in the description I'm simply mention demo purpose. Which purpose? Demo purpose. That's it. And if I'll click on this add, this queue is added here. Simple. That means I'm creating a global variable. In high level, we'll consider this queue as a global variable. Now why queue is come into the picture, and why this queue is used, or why this queue is required basically. Okay, now just for example, if I have some data with me which I need to process, okay, for example I have some data with me which I need to process, for example 100 invoices, or you can say I have 10,000 invoices which I need to process within, you can say, 1 day, 2 day, or you can say within a week. right? So basically what I need to do, right, I need to, now for example this is my invoices and which I need to process. So my bot will take these invoices one by one and they process that invoices. That is fine, my bot will perform the action which we have developed, right? So my bot will execute successfully as well, no issues. Okay, but how I know what kind of actions my bot has taken, right? So whichever invoices my bot has performed or whichever invoices my bot has processed, so what is the status of that? Is that invoices processed successfully? Does this invoices had some technical issues, some functional issues? One second. Down का? But it's you can say the syntax of the queue is different, the purpose of the queue is little bit different. And where we create the queue, we create the queue on the orchestrate. Take that invoices one by one and my bot will perform that invoices successfully, right? But how I know ki my bot taken a correct action or not, right? That means I need you can say finalized report with me, right? For example, my bot have performed you can say invoice number 101. So what is the status of that specific transaction? What action my bot have taken on that? So it is like successful, it is like you can say that you can say like invoice has some like exceptional or you can say business exception or technical exception or anything. So what is the basic technical exception? So what is the you can say status of that specific invoice, right? So that I need to understand. It's very important for me ki what exact my bot what kind of action my bot has taken, right? So because it's not like ki only 100 records my bot will perform. So it's an recurrence activity. My bot will execute this bot again and again. If my bot will execute or if my bot will schedule thrice in a day, and for example at one particular time if my bot will perform 100 or you can say 1000 records, that means in one day my bot needs to be performed 3000 you can say invoices. And if I want a whole report on a you can say monthly or weekly basis, then it's very difficult ki which invoice number or at which transaction has what kind of you can say action to be taken, right? So to just like to to maintain the database, we can consider in this way, to maintain the all transactions in a database we can use queues, right? So in high level I'll just mention queue is acts as a, right, queue is acts as a database where, right, where all the transaction being added with details, with details. We'll see how we'll add and how we can go with these queues, right? Simple. So it's a basic definition of the queue, right? Basic definition of the queue. So it acts as a variable, global variable. We can use queues all over all the processes. That is the first thing. Second thing, queue is acts as a database. Database means, database is nothing. Database is used to store information, bulk information. Bulk means big information, where all the transaction being added. Simple. Now we'll see how this queue we can use the queue and what is the main use of the queue in technical way, right? Now here as I shown you ki how we can add this queue. I'll simply add one queue, right? Without any information I simply add queue. I have just provided one name like queue underscore demo, or you can say demo underscore temp. I have just simply created one variable, nothing else. Okay, now it's a variable. I have not added anything over there, right? I have simply create one variable like for example queue, and what is the queue name here? This is my queue name, right? I have not store anything, I have not create, I have just create this one. Technically if I'll go in this way, so this is my queue. Simple. Now I need to add some data inside this variable. right? Because in variable we are adding something or we are storing something. That is the main you can say purpose of any variable, right? Now here also, why here also I am using this queue to hold some information, because that information I required, right? Now how we can add this information, or how we will go with this queue, right? So in Uipath, okay, so in Uipath, just like asset, to deal with queue we have some activities, right? So I'll simply use queue u e u e queue, right? So once you write queue here, so you will see we have the activities called add queue item, add transaction item, bulk, delete queue item, get queue item. So we have this type of activities which I need to use in the UiPath, or which I need to use or deal with this queue. Simple. So first we will see these activities one by one, right? Now basically queue is nothing but a global variable where we can hold some information, right? Now I have created the queue here, right? Simple queue, we have not added anything here, right? Now what I'll do, I need to add some information inside this variable. Usually we'll do the same thing in the variable. No, we have created the variable and we have decided the type of that variable, and we'll store some information like int1. That means I need to store integer data in that specific variable. So int1 is equal to 10. That 10 value I am storing inside that variable. Simple. So here also now I am storing some information inside this queue with help of the add queue item, right? With help of the add queue item, right? So I am using the add queue item. Which activity I am using? Add queue item. With help of this which activity? Add queue item. Now why this activity is used, right? If you see here, adds a new item in the queue. The status of the item will be new, that we will see in detailed way, right? One more thing, right? So queue, if we will go basic definition of the queue in generic way, if we will see this queue word, queue, right? So q u e u, that means it will go in this way, like first in first out. In general, if I'll I'll go with the mall, or if I want to go, if I am standing in queue basically, right? So it's acts like first in first out. First in first out means if I add some data, whichever data I have added firstly, that same item will access first in first out. Simple. That we will also see now. Okay, now I have used add queue item. I have created the variable on the orchestrator as well, right? So here if you see orchestrator folder name, so where I have added that queue, so in this path specifically I have used this path, or you can say this workspaces, right? I have added that variable. I have added that variable here in the my workspace, right? What is the queue name, right? So I have, if I'll click on there, so this is the queue which I have added there, right? Demo underscore temp, this is the variable. Now I want to add some data in the queue, right? Now if we will deal with queue, or if I work with the queue, so with help of the queue I can store multiple data's values, right? I can store multiple data values inside queue. In assets we only create single you can say assets, and we can only store single value. Like if I'll create asset which has the asset type is equal to integer, that means I can only store a single value to that specific asset or variable as well. But in queue we can store multiple values. We can store multiple values. For example, now if I'll added this queue, if you see we have like item information, or we have this collection. Simple, I'll just click on this collection. Once I click on this collection, you will see we have key, type and values. Now in this collection I can store the multiple information. For example, in double quotes, if I want to store name which has the data type is equal to string and value is equal to, for example, Ajay. Again, if I want to add some more information, right now, for example, I want to add address. If this is also string, this is, for example, Noida. Again, if I want to add, for example, education, right, for example, MBA. Again, so likewise, if I have whichever data I have, I can add that data with help of this queue with multiple values, or you can say with multiple values information, right. Now, for example, I want to add salary as well, so I can add that as well. If I want to put integer, so I can use the integer value, for example, like this. Simple. So in this way, whichever information or whichever data I need to add, I can add that data here, right. So I'll just simply click on this save. Now see, here I have provided 3 inputs: orchestrator folder path, then second is the queue name, and this is the important one. This is the important one. So this data I am adding on the queue. This is this a single data? No, it's not a single data. It's a, you can say, collection of the different data type, right. Simply I click on this save. Now if I click on this run, or if I'll just simply run it, okay, it's executing now. Now this data has been added in my queue, okay. So simply I'll just refresh it. Now here I have added that data in this queue, right. So here, if I want to explore that queue, or if I want to see what kind of data I have added in that queue, so we have this 3 dot with me, more action. Simple click on that more action, and simple again, once I click on these 3 options, we have edit, we have like add trigger, we have this view transaction, monitor queue, view charts, upload queue, manage items, and remove. If I want to remove that, I can use this remove keyword or this remove option to remove or to delete this queue, but I don't want to remove this, you can say, queue. Simply what I need to do here is I need to view my transaction which I have added. So simple, I'll just click on this view transaction, and now see, I have created one queue and I have execute my bot at once. That means now my queue is added only once, right. Once, that also I will tell you how this executes. Now for example, this is my project, right. This is my simple project, and I have scheduled this project thrice in a day, right. And in first, if I'll execute at if I'll schedule this bot, or for example morning 9 a.m., and if this bot will execute, so in this transaction we will see all the detail related to that specific action. Again, if I'll click on this view details, you will see now all that data which I have added here, all that data is added here. See, if you see here, name is equal to Ajay, address, education, and salary. Simple. Again, if I'll change this data, this is the fine, this is I have added this data hard coded, but just consider if this value will add dynamically, right. So again, if I want to trigger this, if I'll execute this again, I will execute this, fine. Or before that, simple, I'll what I'll do, I'll just change some values here, right. So name I'll use Vijay, right, and Noida I'll use Delhi. Here MBA, so I'll use MCA, and here I'll simply put some like right. Again, if I'll execute this, if my bot will execute, again this data will also add on that queue, specific queue only. Okay, fine. Now if I'll refresh it, again if you see now, if my bot first it is my older you can say data or older record, now this is my latest record. Now if I'll go with my older record, right, if I click on this view description, you will see this is my older date like Vijay, Delhi, MCA and salary. This is my latest one, so Vijay, Delhi, MCA and you can say 1000. This is my older one. If I'll click here and if I click on the view details, you will see Ajay Noida MBA and 787878, right. So this is my latest record, Ajay Vijay Delhi MCA 1 lakh salary, right. Why? Now in this way, whenever my bot will execute, this database will create for me with help of the queue, right. Now if again my bot will execute at like 9 p.m. at evening, again my one record will be available for me. For that day, my bot will hold all records inside my queue. Again, if I'll change this, right, okay, and if I'll change like Mumbai and, right, if I'll again execute this, okay, now if I'll refresh it, now I have 3 records in my database. It's not a database, actual database, but it's similar like a database, right. Now I have 3 records with me. Now if I wanted to know in today how much records my bot has been processed, right. So simple, how I can how I can go with that, right. So simple, how we have this export button with me on the, you can say, orchestrator. Simple, what I'll do, I'll simply click on this export. Okay, I'll just simply click on this my report, and here I'll simply download this report. I'll just download it. Okay, and whichever report I have been downloaded, I'll just simply this is a zip form. Okay, I need to extract, or I need to unzip this. Okay, unzip means this is a zip form, this is the locked format, we cannot open this file directly, so we need to unzip it, right. So here I'll just right click it, and here I'll simply use this one, and this is the record, actual record, right. If I'll open it now, this is very important for me. Okay, so from this record or from this file, I know in today my bot will perform thrice, or you can say 3 times my bot will perform, or my bot will perform, my bot has performed 3 times, first, second, third. Here if you see what kind of operations my bot has performed, that also we can mention here. So my bot, when my bot has performed first, then this action my bot has taken, or this information my bot has taken, right. Second time, this information my bot has taken. Third, this information my bot has taken, right. So with this status as well, we have lot of things which we need to do the coding for me. If you see, we can put my date as well, when my bot has started. If you see here, start date and end date, started, end date, when my bot has started, when my bot has ended, that information also we can put here. Which bot has what is the robot name for me, right, that also we will see. Any exception is occurred during that, or that was the successful transaction, that also we can paste here with help of the coding. Reference is also there, so we will see that all of options one by one. But at a high level, queue is very important for me, because if I'll use queue, so with a single click, I I can use, or I can see all my, you can say, dashboard, or all my you can say data with me, or I can see all the data which my bot has performed. Now it's only three times. If my bot has performed, you can say, multiple times, you can say weekly, monthly, right, or you can say yearly as well, so with single click I can take all the data for me. It's very important for me, because if my bot will perform, right, that is fine, but my bot has taken correct steps, yes or no, that is very important for him. That is a part of the, you can say, software development life cycle, right? Otherwise, if my bot is failing, or my bot is taking a wrong action, so we will never know my bot will failing, or my bot will taken wrong actions on that, right? So it's very important to understand ki whichever action my bot is taken, that is correct or not. So in short, database is important for me, or dashboard is important for me as well as for my stakeholders as well. Stakeholders means for whom I am creating the softwares, right? So in this way we can add some data in, you can say, queue. Again, if I'll go little bit here, right, again if I'll refresh it, right, now in this demo underscore temp, right, in this demo underscore temp, if I want to know, right, so simple click on this view transaction. Now my bot has, key my bot has taken three transaction. My bot will perform like three times, right? So if I want to go in detail way, so if simple click on this view details, and with help of this view details I can easily understand. Simple. So in future, if I want to understand, or if I want to repair my bot, so with help of this you can say database, I can easily understood key where exactly my bot is failing. So that we will see in a detailed way in a next session.